Let's talk what happened about the NSN boys. They've disbanded. But let's look at the timing. They turned up out of nowhere suddenly, just a year or so ago, very dramatically, very dressed in black, Nazi salutes, and because of their action, they got the Nazi salute banned, which now sees my friend Damien Richardson in trouble, you know. Then there was a lot of they were basically media darlings. Even though the media hated them, they were media darlings. They're always in the media. They're all over social media. And Thomas was a great speaker, and so is Joel. You know, they conducted themselves well in how they spoke, and they never actually did any crimes. And they, as far as I was concerned, I'm not a Nazi, but freedom of speech, so, you know, they're doing their thing, they're not actually setting fire to anything, and so it was just, that's the thing of free speech. Free speech is defending people who want to say things which are opposite to your views. But did you notice that when, I think it's Thomas, just happened to be walking across the park, and there's the Premier just happening to do some political speech or in a park, and they just happen upon each other, and suddenly they're having a shouting match, and she walks off all coy, you know, and is it saying, oh, we've got to do something against these boys, look how they are. Now, I was in the marches and all those things when Dan Andrews was in power. It was very hard to get anyone to see Dan Andrews, and you didn't just happen across him in a park with a microphone. So always that seemed very sus. But what seems really sus now is they've disbanded. And when have they disbanded? Right on the eve of hate speech laws coming in based on anti-Semitism. Now we've got Albanese. We had the Bondi shooting, and he's going about, right-wingers and Nazis walking down the streets of Melbourne. Nazis. A handful of Nazis, not like a million Nazis, like a little handful of young, men. And suddenly he's on about it. We've got to bring in hate speech laws. They had the other thing about a caravan, which turned out to be fraudulent as well. They were trying to bring in hate speech laws then, but that turned out to be a fraud. And now we have hate speech laws which could see all of us lose our free speech to protect us from what? Nazi boys who were so, well, not committed enough that basically now that the hate speech laws have come in, they've disbanded. I think, I'm not saying, but it's from a storyteller's view. If you were writing a Machiavellian story, you said, I want to write a Machiavellian story of how you steal free speech from a country who has shrines in every town to their forefathers who fought and died for free speech. And how do you do that? You set up a problem, which is Nazis. And that's why we have to basically curtail free speech under the guise that it's hate speech, but basically any speech that the government doesn't like. And now that they've basically just about succeeded in doing that, suddenly there's no need for Nazis. So what do the Nazi boys do? They disband. Something rotten in the state of Victoria, wouldn't you think?